Mr. Womack?
Has the rest of the Scalise whip team got on board with Jim Jordan? Or do you think that...
Are you kidding me? Oh. Anybody on the Scalise whip team gotten on board, Mr. Jordan?
That was Republican Congressman Steve Womack just a few days ago saying, "Are you kidding me?" when asked if he would support MAGA Republican Jim Jordan as Speaker of the House. That was the position of him and about 50 other so-called moderate Republicans that said they would never support MAGA Republican Jim Jordan as Speaker of the House. But something has changed, and now we are learning what that something is. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network, and I want to show you the anatomy about how extremism thrives in the Republican Party and how they use extortive tactics, deceit, and manipulation and threats to undermine themselves and undermine the United States of America and anoint extremists. So I showed you that clip at the beginning. That was Republican Steve Womack, who tries to act like he is a moderate. And there were numerous other people with this position. Don't worry, we're never going to support MAGA Republican Jim Jordan on the Republican side, right? There was over 50 no votes for Jim Jordan and people saying we're never going to support him. And just think about that. When it came to Kevin McCarthy, there was only a few holdouts, and otherwise there was support. The same thing with Steve Scalise, MAGA Republican. But what happened next? Here's what we learned. Julia Grace Brufke, reporter, uncovered this letter that was being sent around by Fox from the Sean Hannity show, threatening and, in my opinion, extorting Republican members of Congress to support Jim Jordan. This is the letter. It was a generic letter, basically whipping votes for Jim Jordan by Sean Hannity on Fox and subtly threatening repercussions for Republicans who don't support Jim Jordan. Hello, Stephanie from the Hannity Show with Fox News. Sources tell Hannity that Representative XXX, and you would fill in the Republican member's name there, is not supporting Representative Jim Jordan for Speaker. Can you please let me know if this is accurate? And if true, Hannity would like to know why, during a war breaking out between Israel and Hamas, with the war in Ukraine, with wide open borders, with a budget that's unfinished, why would Representative, you fill in the blank of the Republican that they are engaged in my opinion, extortive conduct with, why would Representative so-and-so be against Jim Jordan as Speaker? Please let us know when Representative XXXX plans on opening the People's House so work can be done. Lastly, are there any conditions that Representative, fill in the blank of the Republican member of Congress, will choose to work with Democrats on the process of electing a new speaker? The deadline for comment is 11 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, 10/16, October 16th on Monday. Thank you. So with that threat, and the threat that these Republicans would be primaried and that Hannity and Fox were going to call them out for not supporting Jim Jordan, so-called, and I don't believe they're actually moderates, when they're just very weak people, all began to fold. One by one, we saw it over the weekend. We saw it happening on Monday. And who is this benefiting? The extremist, which essentially they all are, Freedom Caucus. And remember when Steve Scalise, who was viewed as by the MAGA Republicans as McCarthy 2.0, was fairly close to having the votes to the speakership. What did they do? Well, Jim Jordan and his crew, they put out information and FEC filings of Steve Scalise showing that he spent a lot of money at the Capitol Grill Steakhouse. And they basically said, look at all, he spent over $500,000 in his career at the steakhouse. Look, Steve Scalise's swamp, deep state, uniparty, rhino, and it just takes out lobbyists. And so they got Steve Scalise, who had far more votes than Jim Jordan, to bow out. And then you had all of the moderates saying, we're never going to support Jim Jordan. Enter Fox, enter Hannity. They send the letter, and the moderates begin to fold one by one. So, and again, I don't believe there's any moderates anymore. So people who call themselves moderates, we will say. So here is, over the weekend, Mike Turner, Republican, who chairs the House Intelligence Subcommittee on the Armed Services Committee. Here he says, just lying, and again, sickening to think that this is someone who's on the Intelligence Committee, that he's never seen any data, any information at all about Jim Jordan being directly involved in the scandal at Ohio State of covering up sexual abuse at the Ohio State University when Jim Jordan was a wrestling coach there before being a member of Congress. And also you see how he tries to just act like it's a debate that people should have about whether Jim Jordan supported the insurrection when he clearly did. So here's Mike Turner folding, and you'll see it go down. Play this clip.
Jordan's working right now to put that coalition together to get to 217.
So do the allegations that he turned a blind eye to sexual assault at Ohio University cause any problems for you, or the allegations that he had knowledge of Donald Trump's attempts on January 6th and leading up to it to stop the election certification?
Well, first, Margaret, the allegations at Ohio State, there's not one person who's ever said that they have knowledge of Jim Jordan having any knowledge. And what occurred at Ohio State wasn't even under Jim Jordan. He was not the head coach. This was not something that he had responsibility for. So those that are making accusations are making, just presumptions of, well, he would have had to have known. But there's no one, I mean, mind you, this was years ago, no one who has come forward at all ever said that there was actual knowledge on Jim Jordan's part. And of course, he condemns what occurred there. With respect to Donald Trump, that's a mess that's going to continue going on the issue of January 6th. And Americans are going to be able to have that debate as we go forward in this next election cycle.
So no pause on your part for Jim Jordan. Do you think?
If you ever wanted to help fight against big money in politics, listen to this one. There's a new campaign to get rid of super PACs, all of them, with a pretty interesting spin. By helping out, you'll be entering a contest with a first prize of $50,000. That's right, you could win $50,000 at cancelsuperpacs.com. So here's the situation. Ever since a court ruling in 2010, super PACs have been able to take unlimited funding from big donors. This is literally how so much corporate money floods into elections each and every year. But campaign finance reformers had been digging into the cases, and their experts recently discovered that the ruling resulted from a technical, straightforward legal error. Basically, they realized that we absolutely constitutionally can limit how much a person or a corporation can give to a super PAC. Now, this is where the contest comes into play. They want as many people as possible to spread awareness about this legal error. So they're asking people to make a short video about it. And they're going to give $50,000 to the best video. That's right, you could win $50,000 if your video is selected as the best video at cancelsuperpacs.com. You can see all the details about the contest here. The link is also in the description. It'll take you to their contest website at cancelsuperpacs.com, where you can get registered and get more information about that legal error and submit your video. So if you ever wanted to take part in the fight against big money in politics, here's your big chance with a really big reward. Go to cancelsuperpacs.com. Now back to the show. And then people like Mike Lawler from New York, in an area that voted for Biden. Remember a few days back, he was calling Matt Gaetz a total fraud and a vile person. I'll play you this clip just so you remember. Play the clip.
Matt Gaetz is, frankly, a vile person. All right? He's not somebody who's willing to work as a team. He stands up there, he grandstands, he lies directly to folks.
So then you have people like Mike Lawler, who's calling Matt Gaetz a fraud and vile, literally is going to now be okay with Matt Gaetz puppet Jim Jordan to run it. Again, it just shows you how weak these MAGA Republicans are. And so here's now the letter that Jim Jordan is sending, talking about uniting the 5 families and outside of the 5 families. They use mafia talk. So here's the letter Jim Jordan just sent on October 16, 2023. And it was all being coordinated with Fox and Hannity. And, you know, this interview right here, I think, to me, says it all. Because, you know, over the past few days as well, that Steve Womack, who I showed in the beginning of this clip, you know, one of the things that Fox kind of said is, well, you know, during this time where there's all these wars going on and everything, what are you doing? You know, and then you put Womack up there, ask that question. I'll play this clip in a second. And then you have Hannity's team send that letter. Here, play this clip.
All right, so Neil, if the question is, can somebody emerge in the Republican conference that can go get 217? Right. The answer is no. That is not a practical outcome unless and until the situation in the world becomes so dire that we have to do something, that we're forced to do something, that the sense of urgency kind of takes over. We're not there yet. And there are a lot of very stubborn people.
But we're already there now, right? We're at that point, right, Congressman?
Well, I think we are, but still, that's not helping members get past their separate differences on where we are as a conference. Understood. So 124 votes is not near enough to be able to say we're going to go down that room tonight and vote for the next speaker.
Any plans for any voting?
Right. You have the Republicans being asked questions like that. Hannity then basically saying, we're going to expose you if you're not supporting Jim Jordan. And folks, this is how fascism creeps in, by the way. And that's why you have to call out this behavior where you have a small group of extremists, the Freedom Caucus, MAGA Republicans, though, they're able to just, you know, basically threaten and break the will of the so-called moderates, control them. And now what you have, that's why Donald Trump runs that party. You're going to have Jim Jordan as the potential Speaker of the House. And, you know, these are the tactics that they use. So it's important that we focus on them and recognize where it's coming from. And by the way, the fact that Fox is acting as like a political arm of the party, I mean, just goes to show you that it's not like a news network, obviously. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Have a good day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.